Now it's 2 o'clock on a wet Tuesday in some dodgy industrial estate in the Midlands. You're completely dead to the world, and then suddenly you get a bang on the door, someone shining a torch straight through your window. Now if you're in a lovely, brightly painted camper with massive windows and a surfboard on the roof, then you're absolutely getting stitched up. Better bet you're moving. But on the other hand, if you're in a battered white panel van, you just turn the monitor up, hold your breath and go back to sleep. So let's have a proper reality check about van life in the UK. If you spend 5 minutes on social media, you think we all wake up parked on a cliff edge in Cornwall with the doors wide open, blazing sunshine while we're drinking a bloody coffee. It's a joke. It's taking the piss now. The reality is 80% of the year you're just parked up on the residential street or retail park or a muddy lay-by on the A1. It's absolutely freezing in January. So when you live in a van for 3 years, for me and the dog now, the biggest drain on your mental health isn't the damp. It's emptying the bloody chemical toilet in the pouring rain. It's just the paranoia. It's the constant nagging feeling in the back of your head that you're going to be told to move on by the council. Or worse, have someone try your handles. Now people with normal camper vans, those pre-built motorhomes with the swirly graphics on the side, they probably get the knock all the time. They stick out like a sore thumb. But over the last 3 years, I've perfected my stealth setup. I park practically anywhere in the country for free. I just fire up the diesel heater, get the PlayStation on, and nobody knows I'm in here. Now I'm going to show you exactly why stealth van absolutely destroys a normal van, and the golden rules you need to follow if you don't want to be woken up by the old bill at 3 in the morning. But first, let's talk about the biggest giveaway. Reason number 1 why stealth van wins: the visual camouflage. I mean, look at this thing from the outside. It looks like a plumber's van. It's parked up for the night, or a bloke who does a bit of plastering and left his van outside his house. There are millions of white panel vans up and down the country. Basically, they are the backbone of the UK. It's the ultimate camouflage van. So if you buy a van with tinted side windows, a massive awning bolted onto the roof, a bike rack on the back, then you are screaming to every local resident and parking warden that someone is sleeping inside. So when you're full-time, peace of mind is everything. I've got Rowan in here with me. If someone starts banging on the side of the van, she's going to kick off and she's going to start barking, and then the game is up entirely. Stealth van gives you the physiological freedom to actually just relax. You aren't constantly peeking through them bloody curtains, waiting for a tap on the glass. You can actually shut your eyes and get a proper night's sleep. But to achieve that, you have to master the light discipline first. This brings me to point number 2, the light leak. Now this is where 90% of self-builders completely mess up their stealth van. You can have a van with no windows in the back, but you've got a max air fan on the roof with a clear lid, and you're running LED spotlights at night. The van is just going to glow like a bloody UFO from the outside. Now I spent a fortune, easily a few £100, just trying different blackout materials. You need a solid bulkhead. Or, if you want access through the cab like I do, a heavily insulated curtain that seals flush against the walls. I use the magnetic strips sewn into the fabric. When I'm in here playing Call of Duty at night and it's pitch black from the outside, you could walk past the van inches from the metal and absolutely have no clue that there's a bloke inside dropping into Warzone. But before we get into the electrics and how to actually power a heavy setup like this without giant solar panels giving you away, I want you to drop a comment down below. What's the worst place you've ever had to park up for the night? Let me know. I once spent a night behind a 24-hour supermarket in bloody Leeds next to a massive commercial bins, and the smell of rotting veg was absolutely horrific, to be honest. Tell me your worst spot. Let me know down in the comments and I'll be reading through them tonight. Alright, point number 3. Let's talk about the power, the ventilation and surviving the brutal British winter. Normal vans have a massive plastic vents cut into the side of the bodywork for their 3-way fridges. They have a huge shiny solar panel tilted up on the roof. Now if you want stealth, you can't have any of that rubbish giving you away. To keep this rig stealth, I had to be very smart with my 12-volt electrics, because I'm running a 4G, 5G router constantly, a gaming monitor and a PS5. My power draw is massive. If you rely on just solar in the UK, especially when the sun disappears in October and it doesn't come back until April, you're going to be left with flat batteries, sitting in the dark, freezing your backside off. So you are going to need a proper DC to DC alternator charger. When I drive from one spot to the next, the van engine is rapidly throwing power into them lithium batteries. Now, I do have a massive 420 watt monocrystal solar panel on the top, mounted on some solar brackets, which, if I'm honest, looking back, I'll definitely be swapping those for low profile ones on my next build, just to keep it that much more hidden. But even still, from the street level, you can't really clock it. And then there is the diesel heater. You need it to stay warm, but if you don't think it through, it can sound like a bloody jet engine taking off, which completely ruins your stealth if you're parked up on a quiet residential street. So what I did is mount the diesel heater completely inside my van, right next to the driver's seat. I built custom wooden box around it that completely deadens the noise. It keeps the sound incredibly low when you're inside the van, and from the pavement outside you wouldn't even know it's running. Little details like that stop you getting the knock. So point number 4 is the sheer cost difference. Have you looked at the price of a pre-built motorhome lately? You're talking about 40-50 grand, sometimes even 80 grand for a van that is made up of flimsy plastic, rattles like a tin can on the motorway, and screams "rob me" to every dodgy bloke looking for an easy target. Now, I've had this exact van since 2014. I bought it back then for about 18 grand. And if we're being honest, the van itself probably only worth about 2 grand now. But I built this entire rustic interior myself. It's solid wood and it can take an absolute beating. It survived Rowan chewing the bloody skirting boards when she was a puppy, and it's properly insulated, not just stuffed with cheap rubbish that goes damp and mouldy the second you boil a brew. Pound for pound, running a older stealth van is the best way to get on the road and actually live the lifestyle without the stress of worrying about a shiny 50 grand box getting keyed in a car park. Now look, I get asked all the time, how do I actually afford to keep this diesel tank full, pay for a full MOT and play the PlayStation in the back of the van without grafting on site for 60 hours a week? People think either you need a massive trust fund or living on a stale bread. The honest truth is, I fund this whole lifestyle through affiliate marketing. It's completely changed the game for me. So if you're sick of the daily grind and you want to see exactly how I make my income on the road, I've put together a completely free video series explaining how this all works. I'll leave a link down in the description if you want to check it out. There's no pressure there at all, but it's there if you want to see exactly how I make this work. At the end of the day, van life in the UK isn't about looking aesthetic for a few photos. It's about the freedom, and you don't have the true freedom if you're constantly stressed about where you're allowed to park. The stealth van strips away all the anxiety. It keeps you safe, it keeps the dog calm, and it lets you live on your own terms, even if you're just parked up on a wet lay-by waiting for the rain to stop. So if you want the actual truth about full-time van life in the UK, then hit that subscribe button. We're building a proper community here of people who actually live in it, not just pretend on the weekends. All my gear, the 12-volt setup and the blackout material, is all linked in the description below. The Kofu link for Rowan's treats is down there too, if you fancy buying her a bone. But before I go, YouTube seems to think that you might like this video next. It's actually about why I'm going 100% with no windows in. So give it a watch, it's a proper eye-opener, and I'll see you over there.